like to call this meeting to order, Commissioners' meeting.
We'd like to welcome Laura Caldwell, Army Air Force veteran, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
It wasn't me, the elevator.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, he was with me. We were in the elevator and it went up and then it went down and then it stopped at every floor because the other one is broken. Like we need to check this.
Your Brian isn't there either. Okay, again, we'll call this meeting to order. A motion to dispense of the reading of the approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opportunity for the public to address the board, agenda items only.
Marie Schumacher, 1799 East Mountain Road, Scranton. I would like to know why you are not using the surplus. I see a bunch of figures, but there's nothing to back it up. Do you have the backup for these proposed, or purported, I guess, deficits?
Okay, what we'll do is, Mr. Durkin is going to answer those questions, so just, do you have any other questions besides that?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Jeffers, ordinance, second reading, 200017.
An ordinance of the County of Lackawanna and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania fixing the tax rate and enacting the budget for the year 2020 and appropriate specific sums estimated to be required for the specific purposes of the county government, hereinafter set forth during the current fiscal year, be it ordained and enacted, that is hereby resolved and enacted by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania. Section 1, that a tax be and the same is hereby levied on all property within the said county, subject to taxation for county purposes for the fiscal year 2020 as follows. Tax rate for general county purposes, the sum of 47.60 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation of the sum of 476 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. For debt purposes, the sum of 12.50 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation or the sum of 125 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. For the purposes of the county library system, the sum of 2.82 mils on each dollar assessed valuation or the sum of 28.20 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. For the purposes of the Cultural and Education Fund, the sums of 1.0 mils or the sum of 10 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. Total millage for all purposes is the sum of 63.92 mils. Section 2, all prior ordinances or resolutions or parts thereof inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Mr. Jeffers.
First of all, let me address Ms. Schumacher's question. The deficits that are indicated there for 2019, first of all, we don't have a good number. 2019, as you're aware, just ended. The accumulated surplus at the end of 2018 was the number from our 2018 budget. Okay, the 2019 deficit is my estimate based on what's happened in 2019. Notably, the general fund is going to need to subsidize the county's capital fund to about $5 million to cover the cost overruns of the Globe Store. We don't have any excess funds in our capital fund. We did a $17 million borrowing in 2016 to pay for the renovation of this building, and it wasn't enough. I'm anticipating approximately $5 million of a deficit attributed to subsidizing the capital fund for what was spent on this building. In addition, we had budgeted about a $2.6 million loss for 2019, and we're anticipating that was pretty accurate. So the $8 million comes from the $5 million subsidy plus approximately a $3 million anticipated operating loss. Okay? The $5,872,472 2020 budgeted deficit, that was the deficit that was included in the budget that was passed by the prior administration in 2 readings in November, I believe. So that's a solid number from the existing budget that had been passed. In addition, the $3,372,911 is the additional amount that the county needs to pay into the county's pension fund in order to make a full annual required contribution. Included in the budget that had a $5,872,000 deficit was a $500,000 payment into the pension plan. A full ARC payment is $3,872,911. So between the $5,872,000 and the $3,373,000, while those aren't obviously solid numbers because 2020 hasn't happened, the pension number is a solid number. We know what that is. And the deficit is what we have budgeted as a deficit in 2020. Let me just say, the pension is distressed. Our pension plan is funded at 70%. We are certainly not as distressed as some other municipalities in the area, and that's a fortunate thing. But I express concerns to the current Board of Commissioners that unless we do something about this, and quite frankly, Commissioner Notarianni has been aware of this for the past 4 years since he's been a commissioner, that we need to start shoring up our pension plan so that it doesn't go further south. It's been declining every year since 2012, I believe, was when it was about 87% funded, and it's gone down to 70.8%. That was as of January 1, 2019. The actuarial report for 1/1/20 hasn't been completed, but I'm anticipating that it's going to go further south because we only made a $500,000 contribution last year. And as a matter of fact, the county hasn't made a full annual required contribution to the county pension plan since 2006. 6 is when it was. So we think it's very important that the pension plan be restored to its former health, and 1 year's worth of ARC payment isn't going to do it. The reason that we have an increase in the proposed budget to cover the ARC payment is not just for the current year, but it's for future year twos. In order to get our pension from where it's at, 70.8% at 1/1/19, to a place where it's nearly fully funded or fully funded, we need to make 20 years worth of annual required contributions. Hopefully, the markets will hold up and we won't have to make $3,872,000 annual ARC payments for 20 years, but theoretically, that's what we're going to need to do, make 20 years worth of full annual required contributions to fully fund our pension plan again. In addition, the other piece of the $6.5 mil tax increase that is included in the amended budget is the amount that's needed to offset the $5,872,000 anticipated deficit that was in the budget that was passed back in November. We haven't had a tax increase in since 2013, so that's 6 consecutive years without a tax increase. As a matter of fact, I can tell you that when we were preparing the budget in 2017 for 2018, we recommended to the commissioners that a modest tax increase, 3 mils, be implemented for 2018 because we felt it was necessary to keep the strong county government as strong as it was. That was never implemented, so we're 2 years later, and we believe that we need to implement a tax increase to offset this. The principal reason is that we need to make sure the county government is stable and operating appropriately. An additional reason, though, is we periodically are reviewed by Standard & Poor's, and Standard & Poor's has created a rating system. In 2015, we were fortunate to regain what's identified as an investment grade rating. We are currently, in 2015 and still currently, are rated as A stable by Standard & Poor's, which is at the investment grade level. That allows us to manage the county's debt and annual debt service much better than if we didn't have an investment grade rating. Without the investment grade rating, we would suffer because interest rates wouldn't be as favorable for us if we were going to borrow money. We plan actually to do I expect we're going to do refunding in probably March or April of this year to refund some old debt to reduce the interest rate, and thereby, according to our financial advisor, we can expect to save about $4.5 million over the remaining life of that debt. If, however, the county is to lose its investment grade rating, and Standard & Poor's will review us for that bond issue that we plan on doing. If we were to lose our investment grade rating, what it would cause is insurers, and we buy bond insurance anytime we have a bond issue. We have an insurance company insure the issue so that it will never default, and the shareholders, it makes our bonds more desirable if we have bond insurance. But if we don't have an investment grade rating, we will very likely still be able to do the refinancing. The insurance premium that we'll have to pay, and this is just an estimate, I don't have the number yet because we haven't moved forward, but I'm expecting that the insurance premium is going to be approximately $100,000 on this refinancing issue. If we lose the investment grade rating, that price of the insurance on this bond issue will increase from $100,000 to likely in the range of $300,000 to $450,000, which would impair the $4.5 million savings by about $300,000. So instead of $4.5 million over the life of the remaining life of the debt, we would maybe have $4.2 million. It certainly would not be a good thing for us to be downgraded, and I believe, and I have expressed this to the Board of Commissioners, that in order to avoid a possible downgrade by Standard & Poor's, we need to, 1, fix the pension plan, which is part of this budget, and 2, we need to immediately stop the deficits that we started experiencing in 2019 and we expect to experience in 2020. Okay? If anybody else had any questions, I'll be happy to answer questions.
Well, I do. Some of them you already answered for me. How long have you been here doing this?
I've been here 16 years,
So you
in the same position for all 16 years, Commissioner.
have a pretty good idea what's going on here, I would think.
I do. This is the actual 16th budget that I've worked on.
Yeah. You did say that the last administration knew about the situation. What was their response when you told them that, they need to address some of these issues?
Well, the response to the tax increase was essentially absolutely not. We're not going to raise taxes. Without any solid reasoning as to why we wouldn't, frankly, it was just, we're not raising taxes. And we did express concern at the time that this would very likely start a downward trend in the county's operations, but there was no response there. I mean, it was just, we're not going to do it, and so we didn't implement the tax increase at the time. Regarding the pension, unfortunately, we've been harping about the pension for quite some time. And again, going back 6 or 7 years, we were funded in the high 80s, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Frankly, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants defines a distressed pension as any pension that is funded less than 90%. So even when we were 85 to 88% funded, the AICPA still considers our pension distressed because it's not 90% funded. But again, my thought is that we have ignored the pension for way too long. We can't let it continue to go south because as the further you go, the harder it is to recover, as is evidenced by the city of Scranton. We all know the unfortunate shape that their pensions are in, and they've been shored up recently by money from the sale of the sewer authority, and so they're better than they had been, but they're still, I don't know what the numbers are, but they're still funded significantly less than ours. But again, I believe it's time for us to take the bull by the horns and fix the pension plan.
Well, by what we've been looking at, and I've been studying, I've only been here 2.5 weeks, so getting a crash course in this. But it looks like it's about 2% every year. So next year, 68% if it's untouched.
That is correct. That is correct.
So with the millage increase that is proposed, well, what's the average for the average homeowner in the county?
Okay.
What's the increase going to be?
The average assessed value of the average property in Lackawanna County, and I actually did this calculation about 4 years ago because we had been saying for a long time that we estimated that the assessed value was between $12,000 and $13,000. When I did this about 3 years ago, it actually came in at about $12,700 is what the average assessed value is. The average taxpayer, if their assessed value is $12,000, the tax increase, the 6.5 mils, would cause a $78 increase in their tax liability. If the average number is 13,000, then it would be 13 times the 6.5, and I can't do that math in my head. I'm too reliant on calculators.
An
anymore.
average of $78 to $80.
About that, yeah, that's correct, Commissioner.
And if we did, what if we did nothing this year, not doing a tax increase? What's the downfall for that coming up to next year?
Well, if we do nothing this year, then I would expect, again, per the poster here, I would expect that by the end of 2020, assuming that we make the pension payment and don't address the deficit, we would have an accumulated surplus of approximately $10 million anticipated, which would be, in and of itself, it would be below the recommended amount, which is 10%. The Standard & Poor's says they believe that municipal government should have a 10% surplus that they can fall back on if need be. We would certainly be below that. I would anticipate that if we do nothing about the deficit, the $6 million deficit this year would probably grow to maybe as much as $9 million next year, at which point in time I would again recommend that we do a tax increase to cover the deficit next year if we were not to do it this year. We're hoping that through searching through county departments, and actually Commissioner Dominic has spoken to me about digging down into every county department and looking into how the county departments operate and whether we're efficient, whether we're inefficient. In doing so, I'm hoping certainly that we can find some savings in the county government and potentially avert an additional tax increase next year. But again, that doesn't help where we're at now. We need to address the $6 million surplus.
And I agree with Commissioner Dominic about an in-depth review. That has to be done. But, so if we did nothing, didn't fund the pension fund, just status quo, kept going the way we've been going, and we had to do a tax increase next year, we're talking 6.5 today. What would it be next year if we did
I would
nothing?
expect that it would be 9.5 to 10% next year.
Okay.
Can I ask one question? If we do nothing, the bond rating is still going to fall below.
If
The
we
10%,
do
correct.
nothing, and again, I certainly can't speak for Standard & Poor's, Commissioner, because they have a lot of people who've been doing this for years. But I suspect if we do nothing, that the bond rating will be degraded below investment grade, and that would be as soon as, whenever we're going to do this refunding that we've been discussing, it would be as soon as that they would downgrade us, at which point in time it would cause that bond issue to cost more, and any future debt service issues would be certainly cost more than if we have the investment grade rating.
Let me rephrase our question. If we do nothing, we're still going to fall below the 10%, regardless.
If we do nothing, we anticipate that we will be below the Standard & Poor's recommendation of a 10% accumulated surplus.
Okay. So that happens regardless if we approve it, the tax increase, or if we don't.
No, if we address the deficit, anticipated deficit in the 2020 budget, and do a 6.5 mil tax increase, which will essentially eliminate that deficit, we will not fall below the 10% recommendation by Standard & Poor's.
But it has to be at the 11.3% tax increase, right?
The
The 11.3%.
Again, I'm talking in mils, Commissioner. It may be 11.3. I can't do that math in my head either. But correct. If we don't do that, then we will not have addressed the structural deficit, essentially, that's built in the county budget, and I believe that Standard & Poor's would rapidly downgrade us.
Have we exhausted all avenues to determine whether or not the increase can be lowered so that we don't go in at 6 mils? I mean, we have until, when is our deadline? Do we have any more time?
We do not have any more time, Commissioner. The tax bills are in the process of being prepared by the single tax office as we speak. We need to get this done, in my opinion, right now so the tax bills can go out correctly, rather than sending tax bills out and then having to send additional tax bills out to correct the first one.
In speaking to our solicitors, General Counsel Don Frederickson, he indicated we can at least have until the end of the month. I'm not saying that we can work miracles in the next week.
Commissioner, I
but-
can tell you that the law says that if we are to amend a budget, we have until February 15th to pass the amended budget. However, we will not be able to get the tax bills out. We'll have to cause the single tax office not to issue any tax bills until after February 15th.
But what is the absolute deadline for that to occur? I mean, do we have any time left so that we can?
I don't
haven't had an
believe we do.
opportunity. I reached out to our pension experts, and I haven't had an opportunity. They haven't called me back yet, so I've had zero opportunity to speak with them. I'd like to get them in here so I could talk to them and get firsthand knowledge. Do we have any time that we could do that? so
I don't
that-
believe we do, Commissioner. As I said, the problem is the single tax office is preparing the bills for county, school district, and city of Scranton taxes right now, and if we wait, there's a chance that those bills will be incorrect and have to be corrected based on the decision of the board.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Mr. Durkin. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Well, on that note, I would like to make a motion to approve the 200017 ordinance 624, the second reading of the budget, and I would look for a second. Okay, with the absence of a second,
I'd like to maybe make a motion. I don't have my head wrapped around this yet. The last thing I want to do is raise the taxes. I understand what's going on. I hear Mr. Durkin. Debbie has a few more questions. Commissioner Dominic, sorry. I'm going to make a motion that I'd like to table this and so we can do a little more research and have a meeting next Wednesday, 10 a.m., and make our final decision.
make that
I
motion.
just
I'm
can't
going to
wrap.
second that motion. I'm not comfortable in light of the fact that the city of Scranton residents are going to get hammered with a county, city, and school tax all at once. I'm not comfortable moving forward today with an 11.3 tax increase. It's going to negatively affect our residents, and I don't feel like I can make a fully informed decision. I need to meet with I don't know how much we can get done in a week, but I think we should at least give ourselves the opportunity, because I'm not willing to put the residents at risk to that extent.
Well, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So be it. Okay, resolution 200011.
Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the following payables. Lackawanna County General Fund, numbers 296047-296644 inclusive, totaling $1,402,613.39. Electronic fund transfers, including all payroll accounts, totaling $3,165,006.22.
Okay, motion to approve the paying of the accounts payables.
I'll make a motion, pay the bills.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 200012.
Warren the Arts and Cultural Program Project Grants, be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby award the 2020 Lackawanna County Arts and Cultural Program Grants in the amount of $216,000, and the 2020 Lackawanna County Community Arts and Cultural Project Grants in the amount of $53,830 as attached here too.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is our annual grant program that encourages groups and individuals to apply for the quality of our life in our county. They range in all kinds of projects, music, art exhibits, things for kids. So we're just here. We yearly approve these, and then they will be awarded in the next month.
Okay, anyone, any questions for Director McGuigan?
For me.
No.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Now I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the resolution.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Enter into a maintenance agreement, service agreement 200013.
Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby enter into a maintenance and service agreement with the Pennsylvania District Attorney's Institute to maintain the SAVIN, Statewide Automated Victim Information and Notification System, for the period of January 1st, 2020 until December 31st, 2020.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Just a quick brief background on it. The SAVIN is a national victim notification system. The victims register with the District Attorney's Office, and they're automatically informed if an inmate's housing status is changed, if that inmate is moved to another facility, put on work release or house arrest, released from the prison, etc. It's anticipated that it'll be a 0% fee this year. I can't speak for CCAP. They're the ones, or PCCD, I'm sorry. They're the ones who the grant would come out of to pay the maintenance fee, the annual maintenance fee that's involved. But they're anticipating that it'll be fully covered this year.
Anyone have any questions for Warden Betty?
No.
On that note, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
So I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 200014. approving a plan of financing for the Health and Welfare Authority to undertake a project for Northeast Child Care Services.
Approving in accordance with Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, as amended, a plan of financing of the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority and declaring that it is desirable for the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the County of Lackawanna for Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority to undertake a project for Northeastern Child Care Services. Whereas pursuant to the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Act as amended, the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania, together with the City of Scranton, created the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority to act as a financing authority for projects serving the city and/or county. And whereas Northeastern Child Care Services has requested the authority to issue its revenue notes in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2 million to finance, refinance, and/or reimburse a project for the benefit of the borrower consisting of all or any of the following. 1, designing, acquiring, constructing, renovating, improving, furnishing, and equipping all new facilities and existing facilities of the borrower, including but not limited to the demolition of an existing building and the construction and equipping of a new facility on the site previously purchased by the borrower in 2018 located at 901 Adams Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Number 2, designing, acquiring, constructing, and equipping of the site infrastructure and parking improvements and various other capital improvements to the borrower's existing facilities, and acquiring various capital and equipment for the use in or in connection with the facilities as the borrower. Funding, if applicable, necessary, reserves for the notes. Number 4, refunding certain outstanding indebtedness of the borrower, the proceeds of which were used by the borrower to acquire the project site. 5, refunding any outstanding indebtedness of the borrower in advantageous to the borrower. And 6, funding contingencies in paying all or portion of the costs and expenses of issuance of notes. And now therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Lackawanna hereby resolves that, number 1, the issuance of the notes by the authority in an aggregate principal amount not in excess of $2 million, and the use of the proceeds of the notes to finance the project are hereby approved. Number 2, it is hereby declared desirable for the health, safety, and welfare of the people of County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania, to have the authority issue the notes for the purpose of financing the project. And 3, foregoing the action of this board shall not in any way pledge or obligate the credit or taxing power of the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania, nor shall the county be liable for any payment or of the principal of premium, if any, or interest on the notes or any of the costs related thereto. Here to speak on that is Attorney Brian Kozlowski.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
Whenever the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority assists a borrower with a tax-free financing, one of the requirements is, under the Internal Revenue Code, is that a public hearing be held, and that after that public hearing, the project and the financing is approved by the governing body that created the authority and where the project is located. County Commissioners, City of Scranton, Council, City of Scranton, combined to joint and form that authority. Each has to approve every project that they do. That's what that approval is today. No liability on the county or the city or the authority. It's a straight loan between the lender and the borrower, but it's one of the mechanisms to do it on a tax-free basis. Happy to answer any questions. It really is a mechanical, piece of the puzzle of doing any tax-free financing. So you'll see these approvals from time to time.
It's basically just a pass-through.
It's just a pass-through. It's the ability for a nonprofit to borrow on a tax-free basis by going through the authority.
Okay. Any other questions for Brian?
No.
Okay, then I entertain a motion to approve 200014.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 200015, entering into a reimbursement grant agreement with PennDOT.
Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby enter into a custom reimbursement grant agreement with PennDOT and does hereby authorize the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners and the Director of Roads and Bridges to approve the electronic reimbursement agreements and required exhibits for the Stauffer Industrial Park Paving Project Phase 2. Here to speak on that is David Johns.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
This reimbursement is specifically for Stauffer Park Phase 2 paving project, and I have Frank Suma, our project manager, to speak a little bit about it.
Yes, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Commissioners. Yes, this reimbursement agreement is for the Stauffer Road pavement reconstruction project in Taylor. We had helped the county receive approximately $785,000 ARC grant for this project, and because of the funding source, the monies need to be managed through PennDOT. So this resolution is specifically to allow the county to enter that agreement with PennDOT, so PennDOT can oversee the design and construction and be reimbursed from the grant money.
Any questions for Mr. Johns?
None.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve resolution.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 20016, authorizing the filing of a redevelopment assistance capital program grant on behalf of the Wright Center. To address the board will be Brenda Sacco.
Good morning, Commissioners. This resolution is authorizing the filing and acceptance of a redevelopment assistance capital program grant application with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on behalf of the Wright Center for Graduate Medical Education Corporation and the Wright Center Medical Group in the amount of $1.5 million. The Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program is a Commonwealth grant program administered by the Office of the Budget for the acquisition and construction of regional, economic, cultural, civic, recreational, and historical improvement projects. This would be a pass-through as well for us as the county. I have Dr. Linda Thomas, who's the President and CEO of the Wright Center, here to talk about this exciting project.
So, good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everybody. So I'm honored to be here. I represent the Wright Center. I'm the president of the Wright Center for Graduate Medical Education and also the CEO of the Wright Center for Community Health. We're a nonprofit organization. We've been around since 1976. The primary hub of the organization has always lived here in Scranton. And so this is a very exciting and joyful day because it brings to fruition really the mission of the Wright Center, but 20 years of my personal work. I'm from northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm up in German. In German, we've previously done a regional an RCAP grant with the governor, and we actually have a beautiful 6,000 square foot facility for primary health services. And as part of the primary health services that we deliver, we include not only physical medical health, but also mental health services, behavioral health services, and we're very deep into addiction and recovery services, obviously responding as a nonprofit to the nation and Lackawanna County's opiate misuse debacle, and escalating disparities in the care of those patients. We're also a Ryan White HIV service provider for over 20 years, and we're kind of on the crusade to eliminate HIV in this country, along with hepatitis C and other comorbidities that travel with HIV. So what happened is that we previously lived in temporary housing in many spaces. We were originally rooted in Mercy Hospital long ago when the sisters ran it. And about 15 years ago, we moved into the community and we were graciously afforded temporary housing by Lackawanna College and lived over at Tobin Hall. We subsequently left Tobin Hall, came down to the old Woolworth building, and had a very nice relationship with the Costanzos there. I don't know if anybody's here, but anyway, they were very generous to us as we put together a bigger vision to be part of the economic revival of Lackawanna County and particularly the city of Scranton. So as part of that, it's been several years in the making, but what's come to fruition is that the Wright Center has been designated a vehicle for United States Treasury dollars, just shy of $10 million, to come back into an economic development project because of the noble mission of taking care of patients and families. And that is a federal investment of our taxpayer dollars that requires match money. So we rallied with a bunch of philanthropy organizations, including the Weinberg Foundation and the Moses Taylor Foundation and a national foundation called the Hearst, and we also went to the governor. We are a Pennsylvania Center of Opiate Excellence. We're a coordinating center for opiate management, and we also offer pregnancy recovery services and something called the Healthy Moms Collaborative, which is a multi-organizational effort to help pregnant women with addiction. That is a county-led initiative, and so we're very grateful for our county partnership. And we are here today to request your authorization of the filing of our RCAP already chosen and selected by the governor to come to 501 Washington Avenue. I just want to say that I think it's really important in forums like this that we celebrate accomplishments of the community. It's on the edge of downtown, expanding into the food desert and one of the highest risk areas in terms of health, which is the south side area. We're really proud of that. We think it's going to expand the margin of downtown. It's already constructed. We're in. We moved in several weeks ago, and I can tell you that we have a commitment to serve at least 7,500 patients. We're offering full-spectrum primary physical health services and also dental health services. We have a new public health dental hygienist back from Penn, hometown scholar. Everything's up and running. All the services are being delivered, and we're most proud that we did it in a public-private partnership because as a nonprofit, we understand that our growth wouldn't bring tax dollars. So we did it in partnership with the Wyoming Valley Development Company, which is owned by the Ferrario brothers, big developers here in downtown Scranton. And on our way to delivering 67 good-paying, leading-the-market jobs, we actually have 60 of those positions filled. So we're humbly here with good news, and we'd like full endorsement by the commissioners. And I'll take any questions, or it's really very joyful, and I will tell you that the public owns the Wright Center. We take our nonprofit identity very seriously, and our doors are open, and you are welcome to come for a tour to enjoy it. It's really beautiful, and I think it's the community at its best.
Well, I agree. I think it's a great addition to the city, and I look forward to coming down. I've been a little overwhelmed lately with numbers, but in the next few days...
Trying to help you.
I'll come down and get a tour. I'd like to see that, but
Yeah,
thank
we would
you.
love to have you.
Me as well.
You've done a great job for the community. I want to thank you.
We're trying.
Yep, yeah, and you're succeeding. On that note, entertain a motion to authorize a resolution 20016.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Opportunity for the public to address the board? Ms. Jones.
Joan Hodawanitz, 101 Penn Avenue, Scranton. I don't have any comments to make on today's agenda because I usually access the county's website from the library, and unfortunately the library is not able to access the county's website. It's some kind of IT problem, and I'll ask the library to have their IT people talk to your IT people and empty the cache or whatever needs to be done.
I have a meeting with IT after this. I'll talk to them
yeah.
about it.
I had the reference librarians try to see if they could access it, and they couldn't. So we need to get that up and running because a lot of citizens, a lot of residents who do not have their own internet access rely on the library for that deal. So I'm not going to comment on your tax proposals, but I will say, since you mentioned tax season, guess where you can get blank forms like the 1040 and 1040 SR for you to pay your fair share of taxes from last year? All the libraries throughout the county. So just walk in and they'll be happy to give you as many as you want. You do your duty to God and country. If you need a special schedule or instructions or whatever, the librarians will be just very happy to help you access those documents. But it is that time of year again. Going back 2 weeks to your first meeting, I spoke and I asked a few questions, and I asked that you address them during commissioners' other business. And when you got to that point in your meeting, you promptly adjourned. Now, let me tell you how this works. You have the right to set a time limit, like 5 minutes, for the public to address you as a board. You have a responsibility to answer the questions we ask, even if the answer is, I don't know, and I'll get back to you. But just to walk out, I found personally insulting, okay? So what I did, and you all got a letter from me, I wrote out the questions and said I would like to get these answers. I was very fortunate in that I ran into Commissioner Chermak, and I was able to schedule some office time with him, and we discussed these issues and some others. I was very impressed by his articulateness and also his willingness to sit down and listen to what I had to say. So be warned, the next time you walk out on me,